Hello everybody, hope you're doing well out there. We'll see you in a few moments. This isn't going to be a long one, probably be less than an hour with commentary. See you shortly. Jesus, Lena. Sick ass Matrix. Alright. Here we go. Good to see you, Carly. Oh, Mike is okay. Hattie, good to see you, brother. Long time. D, great to see you. Mary, good to see you as well. Rom, Mike Jones, Johnny. Hope your travels are treating you well out there, Mary. Alright, let's get into it. This channel is for educational purposes only. Just want to make sure that's out there. And hello, everybody. Welcome back to Forever Conscious Research Channel. I hope you find yourselves doing well on this, whatever time of day it may be. It's Thursday morning for me, early Thursday. I put on the camera, but like I showed you before, it's all messed up. It's like zooming in on me like crazy. So hopefully I have that fixed by the weekend. Maybe. There's a delay in deliveries here with stuff. So anyways, I've had this one sitting and I've been meaning to do it. And just to give a heads up to everyone who is watching or here or may come in later and start this, this is going to be available to everyone during the public live stream who's here now. And then at the conclusion, it's going to be sent over to the members section for the next week or two, and then it'll come back. So anyways, I got a hell of a case here for you guys. This is Kristin Butler, who was speaking with Jeff Mara, and want to give a shout out to their podcast. Jeff and Mara are doing a good job over there trying to spread the word on experiencer cases. And Jeff asks a lot of good questions. I don't necessarily think he doesn't really give his opinion about what he thinks going on about any of this. He kind of just stays in the center and just asks the questions and lets everyone else do the thinking about and hold their own beliefs. But he asks a lot of great questions. That's what I like about Jeff. And he lets the interview really go. So in this one, I think it was one of his like a call-in show or something that he does every once in a while. If I'm guessing, based on the format. So it's not that long. It's about a half hour, and it, the heck? Why did you time out Zona, Miss Ellie? Anyways, I'm sorry about that. Sorry, Zona, I can't fix that. So, not sure. I'm not sure what happened there. So just give it about Okay, I'm probably gonna have to just restart the intro on this. I'm sorry, guys. I got really distracted, so I apologize. I'm doing this for the replay. So hello everyone, welcome back to Forever Conscious Research Channel. I hope you find yourselves doing well today. And we are going to be going over the near-death experience of Kristin Butler, and it's very revealing and was part of the Jeff Mara podcast. I do recommend for your own personal research heading on over to his channel. He's got a lot of experiencer cases, and let's just say that Kristin dropped a bombshell inadvertently, and we're going to go over that. And there's other interesting moments too, including a suspected memory wipe. So let's get into it. And I'm looking forward to going over this case. This case is only about a half hour without commentary, so we're probably looking at a little bit under an hour. And yeah, so let's get into it. Just 1 minute here. Thought I had it queued up. I forgot I did the sound check there. Okay. There we go. Oh, good. Sorry about that, guys. Batting 1,000 tonight.
Is Kristin Butler. Kristin had a near-death experience where she could sense that angels and guides were with her, and today we're going to learn about it. Kristin, thank you very much for being our guest today, and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
If you don't mind, let's just start on the day that it happened and go from there.
Okay, well, it was in October. I think it was October 28th. I had just kind of been having a normal day. And I was helping a friend of mine with her trailer. She had lost power to it. So we were out at like the power box part of the trailer, kind of looking at stuff. And there was rocks. So it was not like thin gravel, but, you know, like big rocks kind of just around. And I was wearing flip-flops because it was still kind of warm for October here in California. And I went to step back and I lost my footing. And whenever I went to step back again, so I didn't fall, I actually stepped on a large drinking glass, like a really thick one. And I stepped on it right in the middle of my foot. So it didn't even hit my flip-flop I was wearing. My flip-flop head went sideways. And so it slashed right into my foot. And I had at least a 3-inch or about 2-inch gash into my foot. And I started losing blood. I hopped around. I found something to shake off and try to wrap my foot. And I thought it was going to be like no big deal. And it was bleeding quite profusely. And I started getting really woozy and feeling very, very tired. And so I called the ambulance and they showed up. And I was just kind of sitting there, kind of very lethargic. And they told me that they could not transport me to the ER because I had my toddler son with me. And it was like a liability risk or something like that. That's what they had told me. And I told them, well, what am I supposed to do? I feel really not right. And they said, well, you need to get to the ER as soon as possible. And I said, well, that's why I kind of called you guys. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, we can't transport you. So you need to find a way. You need to get there as soon as possible. And so I just kind of sat there after they left, and they had kind of bandaged up my foot. It was still bleeding, but they had kind of wrapped it and put a bandage around it. And I remember sitting on the front porch. My son was playing in the dirt because I still didn't have nobody to come and help me with him. And I remember looking at the sunset, and I remember thinking about how beautiful it was. And I felt like it was going to be like my last one I ever saw. I remember looking at my son playing in the dirt, and I was praying that, you know, or just like kind of talking to God and saying how much I loved him and how I didn't want it to be the end. I did go and take my son inside because I was very, very tired. I was very lethargic and I just needed to lay down. And so I did. I laid down with my son, and it was then, like, a lot of people have tried to tell me that this was just a dream. And I know it wasn't just a dream, but it was during that time in the night that my near-death experience happened. I remember being outside of my body. I could hear calls, like, I don't know, I think it was spirits calling to me. I could hear screams of torment. And I remember thinking, you know, where am I? What's going on? And then with the feel.
Screams of torment she's hearing. So I wish she kind of touched on that a little bit more, but she really doesn't. Very little.
Feeling I was having with the screams of torment that I was hearing, I was like, God, you promised to never leave me nor forsake me. And like a hand reaching down into that place and grabbing me by the collar, I like shot straight up and light exploded around me and through me. I felt like I was one with it.
So it exploded light through her, around her.
And I was filled with so much love. And
the love bomb, just like we see all the time.
During that time is whenever I could sense my guides or spirits around me that were of positive light. And
so there were guides, plural, positive, quote unquote, light. Yeah, it definitely does seem like a premonition or a warm up for what was about to happen to her back when she was with her son and, you know, getting ready to go.
I also remember I was in like a waiting room. I don't know how to describe it because it wasn't like there was a sign saying waiting room, you know, but I was just in this space of love, just so full of love. And there was a discussion going on about me. And also during that time of whenever I was in that spot, I had like a life review. I remember planning this life. I remember planning it with a council. I know we were standing like around like a table of sort. It wasn't too clear to me. It was clear to me then, but it's really hard for me to put into words.
Okay, so she also talks about getting her life set up with the council, which is a common occurrence. If it's not happening with the council, then it's usually happening with the soul group, quote unquote, teacher or guide or ascended master, whatever you want to call it. And then usually there is like some additional guides that may help as well. I think it depends on the individual, maybe how easy that they'll go along with things, how much they'll kind of fight and stuff like that. But, you know, we do see moments, especially in regressions and in pre-birth memories, where the council can be involved themselves, or at least what they perceive to be the council. So interesting to hear that.
To describe what it was. And I remember planning this life and planning to come here. And all of that was being discussed as I was waiting and experiencing my life review. And it was then determined that I was to be sent back. I didn't have the choice. They didn't consult with me and ask me if I wanted to come back or if I wanted to stay. It was decided that I was to come back.
Okay, so she's one of the cases that claims that she didn't have a say in it. But what's interesting is what she talks about. And again, the most important thing I can't stress enough here is how people, you know, we shouldn't be interacting with these things at all. I mean, you know, she already has preconceived notions roughly on things from her current life, probably even past life. But, you know, it's what is learned here that carries over. All right. And she also gets into her religion later on, which is interesting. But it's really all about us being able to control our own destiny. Instead of just going along and just, you know, bowing down to whatever the system is, whatever entities are out there that are dealing with these things, we've got to say, no, we're not getting involved. We're not even mixing it up with you. And then things will, they'll be better. We just need to take control of ourselves for once and not feel like we have to be accountable or even interact with anyone or anything when we pass away at the time of natural death. So important.
That I had not fulfilled something or some things that was in the plan of whenever I had planned my life. And so I was sent back. During that time in that waiting room, I still remembered my son, my toddler son. I was the only one that I was there to care for him. And I feel like that was one of the reasons why I was sent back, was because of what his plan had been on coming and being my son here.
Okay, so not to cut her off, I'm going to rewind that a little bit, but she's saying I'm pretty sure that's why I was sent back. Like, remember what they do. They dangle the family members, they dangle the pets, they dangle whatever in front of someone to try and get them to concentrate on that. And then it's like, boom, bye-bye, you're back. It's like, don't put your intention towards something that is going to send you back to Earth. I mean, of course, easier said than done when you have a child, but
that was one of the reasons why I was sent back, was because of what his plan had been on coming and being my son here. And so it was like, bam, like an instant. And I was slammed back in my body after it was decided that I was to come back. And it felt like, I don't even know what it felt like, but I mean, it was like I was being slammed back into my body, and I just like awoke, and I could feel it in my chest. And it was like, okay, I'm alive. I'm awake. And I turn and look, and my toddler son's sitting there sleeping next to me. And I just felt so full of love, overflowing with it. And so then I did have somebody that was there at the house that could watch my son while I went to the ER. I actually went to an urgent care first, and they said they actually called an ambulance and transported me to the ER in an ambulance because the laceration was still that severe. And I remember riding in the ambulance, and like I felt like there was just light all around me. I didn't feel lethargic anymore. I felt full of life. And I felt connected to everything, to everyone I was speaking to, everything. And I know I got to the hospital, and they couldn't do stitches because it had been over 8 hours. They wanted to admit me to check my blood levels and see if I needed a transfusion because I had lost so much blood. However, I had already been there about 3-4 hours at that point. And I told him, no, I can't be admitted because I have to get back to my son. The person that was watching him actually had to go to work. And so I had to get home. And so I got home.
Now, I mean, like, granted, there was probably some sort of healing thing that went on. It does seem to indicate that. But, it's like, this is the type of scenario we got to look at and just say, what the hell is wrong with this place? She just had this experience. She's not feeling well. She should be at the hospital. And of course she's going to do what she needs to do to go back and take care of her son. But it's like, why not err on the side of caution? I mean, how can there not be, it's sad. It's sad.
Right. And got home. And that, in a nutshell, is my experience.
Thank you for sharing that with us. When you were in the waiting room and around the time of your life review, and it was being decided that whether you were going to come back or not, was that when you were in contact with your guides and angels?
I would believe so. I believe that my guides and angels actually was one of the reasons why I was there waiting for me when I got into the light. Like after I said, you know, it was written that I would never be left nor forsaken, and I was yanked out of that. It was like
Now, see, never be left or forsaken,
left nor
right?
forsaken.
Left or forsaken. And so that goes through her head, mind you, okay? And then boom, what is that? Oh, you're calling out to the matrix. It's the beacon call. Hey, I'm going to give myself completely up to the matrix. And guess what? The system's going to deliver. It's going to come and pick you up.
And I was yanked out of that. It was like a hellish part of my NDE, and I was.
Okay, so I'm sorry. It was during the hellish part of the NDE. Okay, which really it's sad that we don't have a real full account of this. It'd be Jeff, if you do happen to run across this video, it'd be great to get a full interview with Kristin to hear more details, because it's really limited, and I know the format that you have in this type of conversation isn't really ideal for a full-length discussion. But I'd love to hear more about that experience. And something, you know, we see in the hell-like NDE or hellish NDEs is distressing NDEs, whatever you want to call them, is that, you know, someone can call out to Jesus, they can call out to whoever, and then boom, the whole situation changes. We've gone over quite a few of those, not just like hellish NDEs, but like the hellish type coma experiences, which are often, you know, chock full with NDE characteristics. So yeah, just you know, the matrix is waiting for us to just make sure that we still pick it, and it might needle someone until they comply and or they're done having their fun with them, you know, in a hell-like experience.
Yanked out of that darkness and that part, and the light exploded, and that's whenever I felt my angels and my guides around me.
What did the waiting room look like?
Like I said, it wasn't a typical waiting room. It was just like a place of all white. It was all white, and it did feel like it was a room, though. It didn't. It felt like there was like some endings, like there had to have been walls around me, because it felt like the conversation was going on in the next room about what.
Okay, it felt like the conversation was going on in the next room. Now, I've heard NDEs like this too, where like someone's quote unquote fate is being decided, but they can never hear them. They're close, they're nearby, but they don't know what the heck is being said about them, but they know something is being said about them. Now, could that be because of the memory wipe? I don't know. But my opinion is that, you know, I don't think it's that hard to set up like your intention to make it so others near you, no matter how close you are in that form, that they can't hear you if that's your intention.
Like what to do with me, if this was going to be the end, or if I was going to come back.
That's interesting. I was hoping you were going to say it was one of those Greek Romanesque type
That's
of
right,
rooms,
Jeff.
because sometimes people go there.
Jeff knows what's up.
But it sounds like
Okay.
it's more of like a modern room, but just very bright and white, right?
It was very bright.
Very bright.
Like I said, during that time, I was also experiencing my life review. So I didn't really take a look around at the room, but I know that there was a conversation going on outside of it about me.
Do you have any idea of what you're supposed to accomplish while you're down here?
To help other people. I have an innate gift to be able to help others. And I know that there's people that's meant to cross my path for a reason in the future, as well as in my whole life, that I am supposed to help in some way or other. That will keep them here, that will help them fulfill what their plan is.
That will help keep them here. that will fulfill whatever their plan is. I mean, talk about a bombshell admission here. Whatever will keep them here. And, you know, talked about it numerous times, how that NDEers are being used by the Matrix marketing department in an effort to keep us here, to do just that, and to spin a certain narrative that is just blindly accepted, and that also continues to confirm one another. Oh, well, you know, you have the light, you have the tunnel, you have Jesus, you have Buddha, you have whoever, Muhammad, you have God, you have, you know, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, you know, Fido, all that stuff. And it keeps continually being confirmed over and over and over that, like, there is this system in place that is set up to try and manipulate, deceive, and keep us coming back here. So let's just hear that one more time. It's a huge, huge moment. So
Take a look.
Do you have any idea of what you're supposed to accomplish while you're down here?
To help other people. I have.
And how many people say that? They say it all the time. To help other people. I mean,
to help other people. I have.
But they usually never know. I'm sorry for interrupting so much.
An innate gift to be able to help others. And I know that there's people that's meant to cross my path for a reason in the future, as well as in the my whole life, that I am supposed to help in some way or other. That will keep them here, that will help them fulfill what their plan is.
That will keep them here. Just wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's all I got to say. All right. It's just incredible to me. Absolutely incredible that this admission can be there. So, big one.
Hopefully this video indirectly have thousands of people cross your path that you're helping.
I hope so. That's my goal. That's my goal now, is to help as many people as I can through my experience and through my education. I am also a psychology major. Whenever I first came back from my experience, I had a lot of people thinking I was crazy, because I wanted to share it with everybody, you know, everybody around me. I wanted to share it. I wanted to tell people of the love of this, of that. And people really thought I was off my rocker. And so I stopped talking about it. And thankfully, I had came across the near-death experiencers group on Facebook. And after being a part of that group, I feel like that was a godsend for me. You know, like my guides, or like I was spiritually guided that way to be able to find that group. And it's through that group that I have gained, I guess, confidence in my experience, and also confidence in myself to not let the naysayers and people that don't believe or have never experienced it tell me what my experience was. Because
okay, so you know, I think it's important to say, I try to say this in as many videos as possible, but I do forget from time to time. So Kristin, if you do happen to be watching this video, it's not that I doubt the authenticity of your experience, that you actually had it. What I'm questioning is the overall narrative of all experiencers and what is actually going on, what's really going on behind the scenes. And that is the big question. And I think we're dealing with something completely ridiculous. We're dealing with something that is trying to continue to sell us the Earth system. And the Earth system, what happens here and what is being presented in experiencer cases does not align in any way, shape, or form. If God is love, if the light is God and the creator and it wants what's best for us and yada, 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 then why does this realm continue to exist? We have to ask this question. It's nonsensical. and it deserves the utmost scrutiny, especially when things don't align and make any sense whatsoever. They just don't add up. We're dealing with a major deception in this realm, and we have to wake up from it. We have to walk the path of an individual through non-interference, sovereignty, liberation, creating our own realm, which is impenetrable and incapable of being interfered with in any way, shape, or form. And I feel that that is the only way to really get out of here at the time of natural death, because we can't risk falling for illusions. We see what they have available to them in their bag of tricks. They have the love bomb. They have the light. They have the memory wipe. We have all these attachments that we build up. And we have to think bigger. Everyone here has to think bigger. We have to think beyond the astral realm. We have to think beyond the earth realm. We have to think beyond huge, mega. We all are creator beings. That is a fact. But, maybe we got hoodwinked here. It really seems to feel that way. Especially when something is being advertised a certain way over and over and over again, and it doesn't align whatsoever to here. And why are so many near-death experiencers and pre-birth memory experiencers, why is everyone saying they didn't want to come or they didn't want to come back? Why is that like the biggest overarching narrative that appears time and time and time again? Because they know something's wrong here. They know this is not their organic state. And the last thing they want to do is be shoved back in a body like you or like anyone else. Like we're all here. I'm sure we all experience that feeling of being shoved in a body and not liking it. So where does it end? And why are we to just blindly trust when we should be, maybe realizing our strengths, realizing our weaknesses, and taking the path as an individual through non-interference, instead of just bowing down and accepting that what is being advertised is actually the truth. If someone is being honest with themselves about where they are in this realm and what this place is all about, they would acknowledge that this is an inverted realm. It's inverted. It's a deception. And yeah, there is a lot of good. I'm not saying there's not. Some people just think I'm all about the negative. I'm not. It's just that, yes, there is a lot of good too. But the big picture is what you got to look at. You got to look at just the makeup of what the human body is. Look at the structure of, animals, pain, suffering. Yeah, there's love, there's joy, there's happiness. But really, when do we start saying, I'm going to question the whole damn thing? And obviously, we come from the astral realm. That's a fact that we know for certain, that we, at least at some point, at least before we got here, we came from there. But the big question is where were we before that? Were we necessarily even in this realm? I don't think we were. I think the possibilities of what's out there is endless. And to have a very, very limited and condensed view that Earth and the astral realm is all that's it, I'm not buying it. I'm just not. So my hope is that by doing these videos, that people will just start to question a little bit more and hopefully see what I'm trying to show here through experiencer cases, because there's so many topics and subtopics, over 20 now, that link into this and show the grand deception.
Believe or have never experienced it, tell me what my experience was, because I know I experienced something extremely profound.
Yeah, it's a fantastic group with a lot of really good people there.
And the admins of it are awesome.
I agree. I kind of live in a bubble because I do this almost every day. So it's kind of weird for me to think about people not being interested in NDEs.
I think a lot of people actually have experienced that after their near-death experience, is people telling them, no, you're crazy, or you were imagining it, or you're dreaming, or there's just no way. And the group really helps people find support in their experience.
You feel like you got a gift of helping people. Do you have any other abilities that you didn't have before?
I have always been very empathic and had a very strong intuition. However, I never trusted in it as I do now. Afterwards, after my experience, I know to trust myself and to trust my intuition and the things that I'm feeling. And I want to say that I get told, because sometimes I have like just this knowing sense of things. And I know now to trust in that and not double guess myself or argue against myself on those things.
We were speaking before the recording, and you mentioned that you got smarter after the NDE. Are there any other changes or any other things that you noticed about you after your experience?
I have less pain than I have ever had in my life.
I'll take that.
I have a ruptured disc in my neck. I've had a broken back, and I've had a lot of pain in my life. And so after my experience, a lot of that pain has been gone. Sorry.
So a lot of that pain has been gone. I mean, that's great. And we do hear this in some cases. And then some people come back and they go through absolute hell in rehab to get themselves back up and running. But we do see these, I guess you can call them healings, where someone comes back and they're good to go.
Okay.
Stream went dead. Can you guys hear? Hello? I'm going to keep going because I think it's okay.
It totally went away. I feel freer. I feel lighter. I'm not as bogged down or weighed down by certain traumas that I've had in my life. And so I feel like my experience, I was able to release those traumas and come back a better version of myself. You know, I'm still me, but I am like a new and improved me. I have such clarity in life about many things. You know, I'm not as, I had a lot of hurt and a lot of pain and that I held on to, and I don't have that anymore. I don't have like that instant thought of, oh, well, this happened to me, and so this is why I do what I do, or this happened to me, so I'm going to react this way. It's so much easier for me to love others and to understand where others are coming from.
No, see, like this is where like I feel I can be like looked at as a jerk, and I'm not trying to be at all, because in a scenario where we weren't dealing with this whole overarching parasitical system, that would be awesome. It would be great. It would be what we would hope would happen. Now, like, again, like the other thing I like to kind of look at this whole experience as, like, if we came here and experienced, yes, the human experience, the pain, the suffering, the joy, the love, the happiness, and we're able to, you know, go about our business or come and go as we please, maybe even just go into a different body. Hey, tomorrow I want to experience what it's like to be a fish. The day after that, I want to experience what it's like to be a cat. A week after that, I want to experience what it's like to be a freaking camel. You know, I mean, and an elephant or a lion or whatever. I mean, you know, I don't want to I don't really want to kill things to eat, but the point is like, you know, at least if you have a memory and a recollection of where you came from, why you are here, and that you can go at any time and experience different things in relation to this place and in the astral, that would be great. I could sign on to that. Okay? But everyone would know, right? Everyone would know. That would be the necessity. Okay? 100% memory recall, 100%, you know, able to make a decision to come and go as you please. And, you know, everyone knows. But it's just all about coming to experience. Like, I could totally get on with that. Totally get with that. But the way it's set up here, no. You know, hundreds, thousands of lifetimes. I mean, how many experiencer cases have we gone over where people say that they've been here tons of times? I think that the guy I just did the video of last, he said thousands of lifetimes. How is it possibly fair? How is it possibly logical in any way, shape, or form that someone would come here for thousands of lifetimes and continue to do this? But yet we're this amazing, powerful creator being, we're told. But yet we come here for lessons. That is the message that keeps appearing over and over. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to evolve spiritually. Whatever you pick it. It's all the same stuff, but it's being said over and over and over again in experiencer cases. Why is that? Because what's happening is that is the cover up. That's the cover up. That's the Stockholm syndrome to make us excuse away all the BS. So again, when do we stand up for ourselves as individuals, not groups, not pairs, on an individual level, and say, hey, I'm going my own way, doing my own thing, and I don't want anyone, you know, I'll mow down anything in my path, you know, and I'm just going to do my thing and see what happens. Play it safe. Play it safe. Remember, I mean, we come here under the veil of forgetfulness. This could be the lifetime that we all need to get out once and for all at the time of natural death. So please, if you're on the fence or new to this material that is discussed on this channel, and I hope you stick around and you see what's happening. And I always tell everyone to do their own research. That's first and foremost. Everyone has to do their own research, because the more you plow through these cases and all the topics and subtopics that relate to this, the easier it is to see, because you live here. You have common sense. You're able to see what's happening here. You live in a body. You see bodies all around you, and you see animals. You see how it's the dog eat dog world. Everything has to eat. I mean, does it really seem like this is a learning experience? Again, how can it be a learning experience when you don't have any memory of it? How can you learn and grow from an experience that your memory wiped from? It makes no sense. And then we get to do it again? No. I mean, really, enough is enough. So, sorry. Let's go.
Initially, after your experience, did you notice, like, when you'd go to the grocery store or something, that you just loved everybody?
Yes. I love everybody. Yes. I feel like I know people. For me, I felt like connected to everybody, like I said, and love for everybody. But I feel like I can meet somebody and I feel like I know them already. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I feel like I've known them before. I feel like we're connected on a soul level. And it's amazing to me, because before my experience, I had a severe social anxiety. Like, I couldn't really go into large crowds or large places. But that was because of a trauma that had happened to me. I had been stalked by a former boyfriend of mine. And so it was very hard for me to be in large crowds. Now I feel safe. I feel protected. I feel loved. And I feel like I said, I know people. Like I can meet someone and it's like, I feel like I know you already and I don't. And so a lot of people get kind of weirded out on me. So I try not to tell them that, but it is a lot easier for me to have love for people and to start conversations and to listen empathetically to other people.
From what you were saying, it appears to me that you're Christian. And so after your experience, has this changed your faith at all?
No, actually, for me, it confirmed my faith. I believe in Jesus Christ and in God. So my experience confirmed my faith in God. However, I do feel that there is a lot of religious dogma that goes about in a lot of Christian theology that isn't true. The religion that I'm a part of now, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We believe that everybody on the earth is a spirit, son, or daughter of Heavenly Father. And in my experience and what I've heard of in the group, everybody kind of gets that same feeling, even if you don't believe, sometimes you go to heaven, people experience the light. And so it's really, and I became.
Even if you don't, you get to experience the light. No light. No tunnel, no light. No deities. Nobody. Enough. I don't want any more attachments. No more attachments. We got to get away from the attachments. That's what keeps us here and bogs us down, is our attachments. And, religion doesn't do anyone any favors. It doesn't. It's just like anything else. It's just like, hey, if you're not a spiritual person, if you don't subscribe to a religion, then the Matrix has all sorts of things ready and waiting, and multiple things that you can sign on to and like and enjoy and fall into. Things like sports, movies, music, anything. Board games, computer games, knitting. I mean, you pick it. Think of the things you like, and the Matrix has a ready and waiting box for you to fall into. And religion is just like the easiest. It's the easiest because what it's doing is it's robbing someone's sovereignty away. They're the most important part, the spiritual component, the inner, the real you. It's taking that away and saying, hey, here are the answers. Follow me. Just follow this book, follow this, blah, blah. And, so, I don't mean any offense. Anyone, whoever wants to be in any religion, that's up to them. Because, again, this is an individual journey for every single one of us. So, the way I see it is some people will see this lifetime. Some people may see it next, or 100 or 200 or 500 or 5,000 or 10,000. I don't know how many lifetimes. But eventually, I think every single one of us comes to the conclusion that this whole place is a dumpster fire and a deception, and that, hey, I'm going to walk the path as an individual. I'm not going to fall for any illusions. Now, it could come in all different forms. It could come through something like Buddhism, could come through something like Gnosticism, Hinduism, whatever. Okay? But the key component is to realize the whole thing is an illusion and a deception, and that you don't need attachments. I mean, that's where, like, Zen Buddhism especially, really nails it. Just stripping yourself down, realizing the illusion. It's right there. and they're giving you a piece of the answer, but then they crush you. Now remember, I almost became a Zen Buddhist monk. I've talked about it before, and very, very close. And it helped me tremendously in my life. I still use some of the practices daily, but I knew something was off. And if it's organized and a big religion and this and that, like, I'll be honest, I'm going to rant just a little bit, guys. You know, when I first started covering this topic as like regularly, you know, and not just kind of talking about it here and there and mixing in all sorts of other kind of truth related videos, I almost shut down the comment section and the chat section, because I don't want like a I don't want people to ever think this is like a religion or I mean, I've seen so many different accusations just leveled at the topic alone, and it's clear that they're not even aware of anything. They're just making things up because of the name Matrix, Reincarnation, Soul Trap. It's got a negative, you know, connotation right out the gate just by the name. So people just cook up things in their head that, you know, like, oh, it's a trap, blah, blah. You know, people think that there's no free will. And I mean, you name it, I've heard it all. And so I thought in the beginning, before all that, you know, maybe just not having chat, maybe not having comment sections, and just letting the information speak for itself and not have others influencing and stuff like that may have been the way to go. But, you know, we need people to talk to. Like, at least I do. You know, part of me doing this is like, hey, here's the information, but like, let's talk about it. Let me hear what you have to say. Let me, you know, people leave resources and books and videos and all sorts of stuff in the comment section. It's great. And it's helped me with my own research. And I know everyone's helped each other. So, I don't know, I'm done rambling, but the point is I never, ever want, this is not a religion whatsoever. We're all sovereign beings, individuals who just don't want to come back here again. That's it. Or at least I am, and I know many of you are, but you know, it's just, we gotta just take back control of our true essence. We deserve it.
I became a member after my experience. I always believed in God, but I found this church afterwards. And the way they believe and what they teach, I'm not saying it's 100% correct, but it is very in line with my experience.
It sounds like to me, from what you were saying, that you made a contract to come here the first time.
Yes.
So it sounds like that you have reincarnated and come back possibly multiple times. I don't know much about the church, the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Is reincarnation part of that?
No.
It's not. However, I do believe in that aspect of near-death experiences, what we have learned from those.
So, I mean, like, you know, I think the question has to be brought up, right? I mean, is it just, I mean, again, Kristin, if you're listening to this, you know, no ill will when I say this, but if you're in a religion that is lying about one of the most important pieces of spiritual knowledge in this realm and in the astral linked to here, then what else are they lying about? I think that question needs to be asked. If they're lying about reincarnation, they're not telling the truth about that, and you know it, Kristin, how can you continue to go along with it? It's just like how it was taken out of the Bible. You know, I mean, you deserve better, Kristin. I hope you find your way, and I hope everyone finds their way. I hope this whole damn place just, you know, the flick of a switch just gets liberated, and We all go our way.
Like I said, the church may not have it all correct, but I know that they have a lot of the principles correct. And but I do believe that there is more to the other side than what we know here and now.
Right.
You know, there's a whole lot more to the other side. So like, we can't rule it out, in my opinion. We can't rule out reincarnation because there is no time on the other side. But
okay, whoa. Can't rule out reincarnation, but she's seen it confirmed in the NDE. But do you hear how the religious part is kind of sneaking through? It's like, you know, we can't rule it out. No, I'm sorry. Reincarnation is a fact. It's happening. Now, how big a scale it's happening, who it's happening to, all that stuff, you know, when, who, what, when, where, why, you know, where reincarnation is actually happening. Like, are there multiple Earths? Who knows? There's so many questions you can ask and we have no clue. But the point is we know for a fact reincarnation is happening, but religion is taking over Kristin in this moment and saying, well, you know, we got to leave it on the table, but, you know, no, it's a fact. So if we know it's happening, yeah, we don't know to the extent it's happening with every single individual and how it all works. Then, of course, you could throw in the NPC thing. And, you know, that's a whole topic in and of itself. So how many true spirited beings could there be if, you know, the NPC thing is happening on a mass scale? But remember, we have to treat people equally no matter what, because you never know who is and isn't. I think with especially things like Hollywood and political spectrum and all that, and big religious leaders, things like that, I think if there's a big NPC thing going on, okay, anyway, I'm not going to go too far off on that one. I'll probably lose people, but anyways, you could see how religion, you know, she knows it's happening. She says it in one breath and then says, oh, well, you know, yeah, the universe is a lot bigger and blah, blah. Yeah, it is. But it doesn't it's still happening.
I believe that there would have to be many Earth years or generations before that could actually come to pass because of our soul families and the ties that are made in heaven before we come here.
Okay, so yes, the soul school, the whole soul groups that we're all in on. Yeah, I mean, you can take the whole time thing too. And, you know, one of the biggest things we hear over and over again is that time doesn't exist. And, you know, what if time still does exist in the astral? I'm not saying it necessarily exists outside completely, but what if it's like a more subtle form of time? It's not the same type of time that we're dealing with here, but like, what if it's still there to some extent? And who's to say, like, what simulation you get plopped into? What Earth simulation? Just like we're saying, multiple Earths, multiple simulations. And, you know, yeah, okay, if there's no time, fine. But still, you're going to get harassed to come back down here again? No.
Have you had any negative after effects from your experience?
Besides other people not believing it?
Right.
No.
Okay.
Besides that, I actually haven't. No, I haven't.
Are you afraid?
Well, I'm like, hold on. Whenever I first came back, I was like, I felt like I was halfway here and halfway there, like in the spiritual realm. It was like spirits. I could hear spirits talking, but it was very confusing to me. And so that would have been a negative effect. I know some people think of it as a positive. I know that there's some that has came back with that gift as well. But for me and trying to raise a small child, it was very hard for me to concentrate on being a mother, as well as hear the things I was hearing. So I was actually spiritually guided to receive a blessing, which I got one from my church at that time. Or not at that time, but now, that's what actually made me want to become a member, was because I received a blessing and it helped. And along with a lot of prayer, it helped that noise that I was hearing, or the voices. I don't want to say voices I was hearing, because a lot of people think that means you're crazy, and it doesn't. The spiritual aspect voices that I was hearing, it helped lessen those. I still get a few that come through sometimes, but I had prayed that it would be for God's glory.
Have you told your current church about your experience? And if so, what is their opinion of it?
Yes, I have. I have told people of my experience, and they are awestruck by it. They believe me, and they believe that it is proof of God and of his love.
Do you fear death?
For me,
it's proof of God and his love. Now, this is the problem with where the love bomb comes in, right? I mean, so many people will say over and over and over again that the light is God, and that everything is love. God is love. But that's because there is an artificial mechanism in place that's flinging love bombs at you, and it's basically cocooning you in this love, and it's capable of totally altering your ability to critically think for yourself. And it just so happens to appear when you leave your body in some sort of high pressure situation, or breakthrough trips, things like that, whatever the case may be. The point is there is a clear mechanism in place, and who is to say that is God? What if that's the deception? And that's what I think it is. I think it's all part of the deception, to make us feel like we're home, feel like we're with God. It's this love, again, remember, the love that they will say over and over and over and over again cannot be compared to the love that is felt on earth. It's just, you can't describe it. You can't beat it. Can't be compared. So when they say that, you can see, or at least feel that the love experience there is very powerful and almost like a drug. It's like you're being drugged. So, you want to get drugged by something you know nothing about, or, maybe you feel you know what it's about. But I think the reason we feel like we're at home and stuff like that is because we've been through it so many times before. And that's what we've gotten used to. And then throw in that memory wipe with all this, lifetime after lifetime. But maybe it gives you access to certain things, like, oh, the light. I recognize the light. Love. I love love. I love love. And it keeps the familiar things running, so that we are, I like to call it like the continuity of familiarity, because it crosses over between both worlds. And because we're familiar with it, it's something easy to cling to and go to and be with, because we are familiar with it. It takes advantage of our familiarity with it to the max.
The only aspect that I fear is leaving my children behind. That's the only aspect that I fear. But death itself, no. And actually, I have lost a few family members since my near-death experience. And I know that I feel worse for the family that doesn't understand what happens on the other side than I do for losing them, because I know that they are in a better place. They are in a place of love. You know what I mean? And I don't want to say I'm happy that they're gone, because I'm not happy that they're gone, but I'm I'm not sad that they're gone either, because it's just a transition. You know, death is but a doorway. It's not the end of who they are.
What do you think inspires you about your NDE?
The love, definitely the love.
Boom. What inspires you about the love? I mean, what? I'm sorry. What inspires you? Inspires you about the NDE.
What do you think inspires you about your NDE?
The love.
The love. The love. See, I mean, again, we have to hammer this point home because of how powerful it is. This is the most standout part of all of it. And that's what all these NDEs will say. Tons and tons and tons and tons of them say over and over and over again. You know, it's the most love I ever felt. It was like the most amazing thing. I felt like I'm home. Love can't be compared on earth. And she says the same thing. Same thing.
Definitely the love. I felt before my experience, I did not feel too much love in my life or around me. And after my experience, I was so full of love, and I could feel love around me. And that has been the biggest takeaway for me.
What kind of advice would you give someone who has lost somebody and they need some type of reassurance that their loved one is okay on the other side?
To know that, especially if it's a loved one that loved them, that death does not dissolve the bonds of the love that we have here. I'm like, just thinking about it. I think about my stepmom. I'm sorry. My stepmom was my mother. She's who raised me. And I had missed her so much before my experience. And it was so hard living without her. She was my rock. She was my best friend. And losing her to cancer totally tore my world apart. And I had missed her so much. And then after my experience, it's like I know for a fact that death does not dissolve those bonds. She is looking over me. She is watching over me. And she is with me always in my heart. And we will see each other again.
Well, after watching this video, people...
And, you know, no offense to Kristin, I just think it needs to be said. Like, look, we all miss those that have passed, right? Or at least many. Maybe not all. But, you know, there's always someone we lose, you know, important people in our lives. A mother, a father, a brother, a sister, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, on a pet. And the Matrix relies on us to cling to that attachment. And even though Kristin said, you know, I know she's in a better place and stuff like that. And I think anyone who goes through this experience and on top of it has something like an NDE, they are going to be happy for them, despite the sadness. But the Matrix has its way of creeping its ugly claws onto us and keeping those attachments within us. And they're a part of us. They're part of that soul group. And it banks on us being desperate to reunite with our loved ones or those that we care about. And this is how perfectly set up this system is. It really is a piece of work, because it's almost like they've thought of virtually everything that they could to keep us coming back here and to keep us hooked in with attachments. It really, you know, I hate to give it credit, I do, but it is a masterful piece of deception. It really is. I mean, the good thing is that the world is such a clown show and so absurd that it gives itself away. And then when you combine your actual life experience, the human body experience, not just outside, but the human body experience itself, and then are able to kind of analyze what's going around you, nature and animal, the animal kingdom, all the stuff like we were talking about earlier, it becomes increasingly and blatantly evident that, you know, something is really wrong. Something is really, really wrong here. So take advantage of this lifetime to liberate yourself, not next. Because remember, the memory wipe is their ace in the hole. If they didn't have the memory wipe, it would be so much harder. I don't even know if there'd be one being that would stick around if the memory wipe didn't exist and they had clear memories of who they are, where they came from, and what this place is all about. I don't think they'd even have a population of one. Now, yeah, you can say, sure, there are, you know, beings out there that, you know, love the material experience, and I'm sure there's plenty, but is that because they don't have their memories? Is that because they've degraded themselves so far, so much, that they've completely lost themselves? Like there's almost no spiritual component in them whatsoever. And that they're so hooked on materialism and the human experience that they can't see anything past that. So, yeah.
Always in my heart. And for me, I know for a fact that death does not dissolve those bonds. She is looking over me. She is watching over me. And she is with me always in my heart.
So she knows that death does not dissolve those bonds, and she's right. Because that's what the Matrix banks on. Banks on us just doing just that.
And we will see each other again.
Well, after watching this video, people may want to reach out to you and ask you questions or, you know, chat with you. Are you open to that? And if so, how should they reach you?
Facebook is the best way. Okay. I'm on Facebook. Yep. Just send me a message, and it usually goes into my message request box. And whenever I see that it's there, and whenever I have time, I will definitely respond.
Do you have anything you would like to promote?
No, the only thing I would like to promote is for people to learn how to live in love within themselves, whatever they need to do to get there. A lot of people have negative thinking and negative thoughts that will create and attract that negativity in their life. So I hope people will learn how to let go of a lot of those things. Other than that, I don't have my own actual website or anything like that. Just to love others as much as they can.
All right, Kristin. Well, before we finish up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
This life is not the end. We do go on.
That's perfect. Kristin, thank you so much for being my guest today. I really appreciate you, and I wish you the best.
All right. So that was the Jeff Mara podcast, just to give you a heads up on the channel. And Jeff does great work and interviews a lot of experiencers. So again, I recommend heading on over to his channel to do your own research and further your knowledge and hopefully inner knowing about the Matrix, Reincarnation, Soul Trap, and that, you know, the key to the kingdom is seems very evident, at least to me, that it should be through non-interference, sovereignty, liberation, and the creating of your own realm. That, you know, your desire is to completely leave this entire system to your own realm of creation, population 1, and it's incapable of being messed with in any way, shape, or form by anything outside. Remember, as a creator being, we can do amazing things, and we are capable of creation, and using our intention to take care of ourselves for once, to give ourselves the time that we need to find ourselves, to get our true essence back, our memories. Again, I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but realizing your strengths and weaknesses as a creator being, and making sure that you're taking care of yourself. Remember, you're number one. You're thinking about yourself. That is the most important thing. And that's not to say that you don't care about others and stuff like that. It just means that, hey, everyone is on an individual journey while they're here, and everyone has to figure out what's going on in their own time. So that may be this lifetime, it may be 1,000 lifetimes, maybe 5,000, who knows. But we all get there. Just wanted to, before we close things out, just give a few shout outs. Hey, Pure Water, Infinite Corridors, MZFer, Alex, Puya, Web Surfer, Anton, and everyone else. Lena said hello to you earlier, and hello everyone else who I may have missed. Puya, it's good to see you back in the chat, my friend. And hope you're doing well over there in Iran there. You're always on my thoughts, or on my mind, in my thoughts. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up. Told you it'd be kind of a quick one tonight. So thank you to each and every one of you, and I will see you this weekend. Take care of yourselves. Don't work too hard. Much love.